What is up? What is up? I'm here with Gerry Fonseca, my friend and client. So you were first client, then you became a friend, something like that?
Yeah. Something along those lines, yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know you, speak who you are, what do you do, and...
So I'm just a regular guy. My name is Gerry Fonseca. I currently reside here in SoCal. I am an investor, and I also have a W-2 job.
Dope, dude. So this whole Builders podcast is about like just building your life and actually like whether it's real estate or what you're doing. Obviously, you're doing real estate and ADUs, right? Mm-hmm. So you became our client with the ADUs. So for anybody that's thinking about doing an ADU, you already finished 2, right? And we're going to start your 3rd one.
Right.
What do you feel was like the hardest part throughout the whole process?
Well, when you're starting construction, building of any capacity, it's really hard because, especially if you have no experience or no background in construction, it makes things really interesting. You don't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. You don't know what it is true, what's not true, what you need, what you don't need. So it's scary. Number one, it's very scary, and then number 2, you just hope and you're kind of praying that you're doing the right thing, right?
Dude, what's crazy is like I get these questions sometimes. People are like, "Hey, what's next? What's this?" I'm like, "Chill out, I got you." But I can understand too. Like, there's a lot of contractors that just aren't ethical, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, say ethical, and they leave their clients guessing. So then that's where it becomes tough. So I could totally see where you're coming from of like being afraid. Like for me, it's like clockwork, But I could see that.
Well, see, the thing is, I even myself having a little bit of a construction background from my regular job, it's still scary because you're given a price on what this is supposed to cost. But what you don't know is, is the timeline, real timeline, are things going to change? What is a change order? What do you do with the change order? And all of these things that start coming up, you start to see as unknowns, and for that reason it becomes scary. But luckily, we were able to team up, and you did a good job at explaining what happens and what the grand finale was going to look like. And I think that's where people get confused or tripped up. Hey, you got to pay this up front, and we're going to do this, and then we'll come back later, and then we'll do that. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's definitely a journey. But, I'm sitting here now saying it's a journey I'm glad I took.
Yeah. So I know there's different reasons why people get ADUs. Like, why are you using the ADUs? Or what are you using them for?
So my whole intent behind pursuing the ADU was as an investment strategy, right? So when I bought, my property where, you guys built our 2 ADUs on, the whole premise was buying a property where I could build ADUs. Because, I don't have to tell you or other people that live in SoCal. SoCal's expensive. Hands down, it costs a lot of money. So you have to get creative. You have to figure out, hey, how can I buy this house? How can I afford to buy the house? And furthermore, how can I buy more houses in the future? Right. And one of the ways that I figured would work is if I buy an already existing house, build on it, create equity, create cash flow, and then just repeat the process. So it was strictly just an investment.
So that house, just so like me and you know it, but let's walk through it. Like, what is it? Like, it's a house. How was it originally, and what did you do?
So when I bought the house was a standard 3-bed, 2-bath home. But what I noticed about the floor plan was that somebody had done an addition to it. I was a little bit weary because it was undetermined whether it was permitted or not, right? And I had to figure out, is this even usable space, or is this somebody that just wanted to make?
Remember. So Gerry in that house, he had it was like a makeshift second floor.
Yeah, it was. That's exactly what it was.
It was a makeshift second floor, and we were gonna keep it, right?
Well, that was the goal, right? The goal was to keep it. Hey, we're gonna build on this thing. We're going to use the second story. We're going to use the first floor. It's going to be great. It's going to be huge. And then obviously, the unknowns, again, of not being a first-time builder. The stairs weren't up to code. The ceilings weren't up to code. Yeah. So that whole second floor was useless. right?
It actually costs you more money.
And it cost more money because
Yeah.
we had to tear it all down and get it back to attic standards,
So when it comes to architectural plans, now that you've gone through it,
right?
what do you feel so important? You've gone through 2 different architects, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you feel is so important to have an architect?
Bro, architects matter. Architects, I have a newfound respect for architects. Having some engineering background, you always think, you know the expertise and you know what an architect does, but in the investment world, not to be taken for granted. An architect can make you or it can break you in more than just one ways. That's where it starts. It starts with the plans. And if you don't have somebody that developed and generated some solid plans that are going to go to the city and have minimal corrections,
Yeah.
it could cost you time and money.
Bro, you don't understand how many times I get plans like for construction,
Right.
and they don't match to what's there. So I'm just like, wait, the garage is 20 feet, right?
Yeah.
But it like on the plan it's 20 feet, but in reality it's 22 feet wide. And I'm like, how? Like, did you not come out here and measure? Where? Like, so then you go to wonder, hey, this is probably the $3,000 architect compared to the $6,000 architect.
Well, and you know what? When it's all said and done, those dollars and cents don't really matter, because the time that it ends up costing you of wait time, if you have a loan or if you have money on hold, your holding cost. Not to mention the fact that you just can't move forward. You're stuck, right? You're stuck on
And the frustration cost, bro.
And then there's stress, right? There's stress and there's getting upset, and the whole kicking the dog. And I'm kidding, right? I don't kick my dog, but the whole it's painful. It's painful, and a light bulb should have gone on when I knew, when I had the first guy, awesome guy by the way. He went above and beyond. He sent surveyors, right?
How long did it take for plans to get approved?
So he got those plans approved in 3.5 months during COVID. So
ADU and junior ADU.
Right, both in once. He submitted both, obviously 2 independent projects,
Mm-hmm.
but he I'm not entirely sure how he did it, but it was more of a package deal,
Mm-hmm.
because they both got reviewed, they both got approved at the same time, for the same property. But he got those done, in 3.5 months, and here we are on, my project from hell, where I think I'm in 7 weeks so far of plans, and
7 weeks?
I'm sorry, 7 months.
7 months.
7 months.
7 months.
And no end in sight. I still don't know. Can I get a legit answer?
Yeah.
Is it tomorrow? Is it next week? Next month? Who the hell knows? But I'm here waiting.
So you're doing this as an investment strategy, right?
Right.
So let's just say the other guy was 3.5 months, right?
Yep.
Let's even say 4 months.
Okay.
So as of right now, it's 3 months behind.
He's 3 months behind schedule. Yeah.
So let's just say everything else is the same, right?
Yeah.
And this is 3 months.
Yep.
Times how much is rent?
$1,800 for that studio that I'm looking
That you're
for.
building.
Yeah.
So let's just say, what is that, like $5,400 bucks, somewhere around there?
Yep.
$5,400 a year, behind $5,400 because you could have been rented out.
Right. Yep. And the thing about it too is it's pushing my timeline. It's pushing my timeline to getting completed closer to the end of the year. So now at the end of the year, not as many people are looking for rentals. So it's the winter months. A lot of people don't move in the winter months. So there's that goes into effect.
So $5,400, and here's another one that I don't know if you thought. Yeah, you've thought of this. The money. Let's just say you're borrowing money.
Yeah.
From the bank.
Yep.
We know right now we're in the environment that interest rates are going up.
Correct.
So let's just say it's a HELOC, for example. $5,400 now. If you're borrowing against your property, the money's getting more expensive.
Well, there's a lot of variables that are happening,
Yeah.
right? Not only are rates going up, but some property values are either staying stagnant or there's a little bit of a decline.
Yeah.
So if you're pulling a HELOC, you're pulling money out on a house that's potentially worth less now
Yeah.
at a higher rate.
Right.
So your money's more expensive.
Mhm.
So you're borrowing money at a higher rate as time goes on, assuming this trend continues, because I haven't got my plans approved, right? So it's funny because the guy that went to go measure, for this third ADU, he showed up with a laser. He's taking a couple measurements. I think 15, 20 minutes, half hour most, and he's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
These other guys, they were there for, a couple hours, and they just, very extensive, very thorough project.
Yeah.
So I am a huge proponent of, you get what you pay for, and cheap isn't always better,
Yeah.
and it's one of the reasons why I think our relationship ended up working out the way it did, is because, I don't think you were the cheapest,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, that wasn't my intent to find the cheapest.
I'll be honest, I'm not the cheapest dude, and I don't even know if we're the most expensive. I don't shop other contractors. I don't ask, hey, how much per square foot, or whatever the famous question is. It's just like, hey, I know this is how much it's going to take us.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is the quality work we provide, and I got to calculate based on us, not based on what society's charging for the job. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's kind of how we calculate it. And some people are like, dude, you're like way more expensive than somebody else. I said, that's cool. Like, go.
Yeah.
Like I'll, that's cool with me. Like, it doesn't bother me whatsoever.
No, and you know what? It's it everybody's lived it. It's happened before, right?
Mm-hmm.
You buy the most affordable. We won't even say the cheapest. You buy the most affordable because it's it sounds like a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm living it firsthand. I saved a couple bucks on the architect, but I'm spending money on future rents. I'm spending money on interest rates.
Yeah.
On my money. So and the stress, whatever that costs, right? Whatever the stress costs, there's that.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit, dude. So you have, let's go, junior ADU, ADU.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to go that route on that property? Going back to the first property where you bought the house, the 3-2. Why junior ADU, ADU?
Right. So when after I did the evaluation of that floor plan, the floor plan had the addition of the back, and that was already a bedroom and a living room. So after you and I linked up, you informed me, hey, a junior ADU cannot exceed in your city, can't exceed 500 square feet.
Statewide,
right?
Yeah.
So it worked out that after it was measured, I think it was exactly 486 square feet, which is perfect, right? Because the room was built, so you had to build a kitchen in the existing floor plan and a bathroom.
Yeah.
And once we did that, I knew it was going to be perfect because that addition was added on the back end of the house, which means the first part of the house, or the front, was already intended to be a standalone home when it was initially constructed. So to me, that was a no-brainer. And then the garage was a detached garage, which again was perfect for. Well, actually, I think you and I, if you remember, I wanted to make it a 1-1.
Yeah.
And that's where you said, hey, look, it's going to look kind of enclosed, it's going to look kind of small.
Dude, right, I'm getting so many plans with 1-1s with like 350 square feet garages. I'm like, oh my god, and they're already approved. So I'm like, what do I do? They're so just tight, and it's like the rooms are so small, bro. I'm like, you can't even fit a queen size bed in there.
Honestly, I'm so glad I did the studio, because it looks big, and I think. If you remember, we had 10-foot ceilings that we brought down to like 9.
Yeah.
So the ceilings are high, so it really makes it look big and airy. We did light colors, so the spot looks big. It's 400 square feet. I mean, you can't deny that it's 20 by 20 square. But given the fact that it's open, and I think we remember we messed with the cabinets too, so we took out cabinets and we did floating shelves. So it just we amplified it. It looks a lot bigger than what it is.
So 3 things that you would say to make it look bigger is go higher ceilings.
If you can.
If you can't higher ceilings, we could also do light colors.
Yep.
And eliminate some cabinets.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to remember it's a studio, right? Max 2 people, so they can live comfortably there. Okay. And I think some cities will have ordinances on how many your occupancy, right? So you can maybe have 2 people. Some may even say 1, but 2 people I think is solid for a studio. You probably shouldn't go more than that. And by eliminating some of those cabinets, doing floating shelves, I think that was key. That was awesome because it just looks, nice and
bigger
and open. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, bro. I know you live on the property. You live in the front house, right?
I do.
Okay, cool. And you have your rentals of 2 other units that you have, and you have the ADU and the junior ADU.
Right.
So there's people living on your property, right?
There. Yeah.
I always get this all the time. It's like, oh oh my God, but I wouldn't want anybody living on my property. It's gonna be horrible. You know, you're gonna have tenants, and they're gonna be bugging you. And so, give me the whole experience, how that's been for you since you've had actual tenants where you live.
So, the short answer is it's not that bad, but there's always the whole caveat, it depends. So we took measures. For example, my entrance to my door is on the opposite side of the property, whereas the entrance to the back units is on the complete other side. So very rarely, if any time, do we ever cross paths. So we took measures to ensure, hey, they have their private space, because it's very important for anybody to have their privacy and to have a spot that feels like it's theirs.
Yeah.
So they have their own entrance. They go in and out as they please.
How many people?
So right now, each of those units is rented to one individual.
That's so good.
So it's one individual on each one. So realistically, I only have two additional people living in the property. You know, my family and I are in the main house, but we have our own entrance, the main door on the side. We took other measures, right? We made sure that the wall that was going to be shared, which is only one wall, had some additional insulation, had some additional soundproofing, some sound attenuation, to keep the noise levels lower on either side for us and for them, right? And honestly, you gotta vet, do your due diligence on vetting, right? Because if you have good tenants and you have good people, I mean, if you ask me, I'd hope they stay forever, because they're great. Now, here's the third piece of that puzzle. Our intent is not to live there forever, right? This is not our forever home. This is an investment property that we currently live in, right? That is currently being supplemented, the mortgages being supplemented by the rents that are coming in from our two tenants.
So let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
So your mortgage right now is how much?
It's just shy of $4,600.
$4,600. So this is in Long Beach, in a very nice area of Long Beach, right? $4,600, and your ADU tenant pays how much?
The ADU pays $18.
$18, and the junior?
$20.50. So $2,050.
So those two total?
$38.50.
$38.50.
Yeah.
And you said your mortgage is?
$4,600.
So you're like a few $100 in, like not even $1,000?
Nope.
So you're not $800? I think that's somewhere around there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ancillary expenses there. Yeah.
But let's say $1,000. So you have tenants there, but you're only paying $1,000 a month to live at your house.
Correct.
Which is a 3-bedroom?
My house is a 3-bed, 2-bath. Yeah.
3-bed, 2-bath.
Because we were able to add value again by taking an existing dining room that again, the previous owners wanted some more dining area, but I don't need 2 dining tables, so I don't need 2 dining rooms. So we closed one off and converted it into a 3rd bedroom that we use as an office, right? So my house is a 3-2.
But Eric, I don't want other people living on my property. It's just horrible. I'm like, man, like paying $1,000 a month in LA, in Long Beach specifically, in a nice part of town. Like, fuck, $1,000 you can't even get rent. Like, where could you find rent for $1,000?
See, and I think it was Hermosi that said it. It's short-term discomfort for long-term achievements, right? And that's what it is here, right? It's short-term discomfort, and as I just got done explaining to you, it's not really that uncomfortable, because with the exception of sometimes the mail comes to our door, or
but think about it like this. Think about it like this. You got people living in apartments. Yeah. Right. I lived in an apartment.
I did too.
And you had neighbors up, down, side, and
all around.
So I'm like, okay, you share one wall with somebody for a huge reduction on your monthly expenses. Yep. And you're creating equity. Yep. I'm like, dude, like an ADU, especially an ADU, like garage conversion, or what you did, a junior ADU, is like a no-brainer.
And that's the thing. If you do it correctly, obviously, the plan was put in place before we went into action, right? So if you do it correctly, it's way better than being in an apartment, because you only share one wall. And it's a very minimal wall, because, as I explained, it's the wall that's on the back of the house. So your living room, your bedrooms, everything is on the opposite side. So realistically, at times, you don't even know that.
So you went in with
there.
the game plan of, hey, here's what I got to do.
Yes, that's correct.
So yeah, I get that a lot. Like people are always asking me, like, hey, what kind of house should I buy? So if you're looking to do a junior ADU and an ADU, what kind of house should somebody buy or start looking at to purchase?
So you need to initially you need to look at a house that has a large floor plan or a floor plan that can be reconfigured.
What would you say is like large?
So large would have to be somewhere, in my opinion, a little bit larger than 1,500, because anything smaller than 1,500 square feet is going to be really tight. Rooms are going to be really small. You may lose a bathroom somewhere. So I would suggest going bigger than 1,500. My house was 1,700 and change square feet. Okay. So when we chopped off that,
you still have a 1,200 square foot house, and then you still have right, 1,200.
Yeah, 12, a little over 1,200. Yeah, okay. Which is it's a very decent, comfortable size home.
Okay, how have the neighbors been with you doing this?
So
I'll give you a funny story about my neighbors on one of my properties, but go ahead.
So I'm glad you asked that question. So there was curiosity from the get-go, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted to know what's going on, what are you building, what's going. I had some pushback from some of the neighbors. Hey, if you're gonna start turning this into an apartment, I'm moving. Okay, see you later, right? All the Karens, right? All the Karens. What do you do?
So wait, like you paying your mortgage? You need to ask them for permission. What to do?
Apparently, I missed that memo, right? Okay. Where I have to ask others what to do with my own property. But the good part is she came around eventually, right?
You don't think these people are like the ones that didn't want you to do it? Like they weren't hitting up the city, like to see if you were doing it legit?
It's very possible. You know what? I wouldn't put it past them. But everything was done with permits.
Plans and permits,
I don't care. I mean, they could have complained all they wanted. We were following all the guidelines as far as noise complaint, right? Working during the allowable hours, on the allowable days. So there was nothing out of the ordinary that we were doing.
Dude, Long Beach is good. It's from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah,
Monday through Saturday.
Oh, so you guys were splitting early on me, huh?
Yeah, we're doing early.
Yeah. So
I just found that out.
So some of the neighbors, others were supportive, right? Like, oh, that's cool. The ones that want to know like how you're doing and what you're doing and what's the end game. And if you really want to try to get your neighbors off your back, just tell them that you're moving in your parents, right? Just tell them your parents are moving in or your in-laws are moving in, and that deters a lot of them from asking any more questions, because the minute that they find out that they're going to be, rental units, they're wanting to be up in your business. But overall, I would say after the dust settled, at least my neighborhood, they were chill about it. There was no more kickback. Everybody, was okay with it. Plus, that added bonus of them being responsible tenants. I have responsible tenants that understand the neighborhood is a quiet neighborhood, that it's very chill. So when all that is said and done, it was calm. But initially, everybody wanted to know why there's 3 meters going in my property, right? Hey, why is there so much material being delivered to your house, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
For me, we had we converted the garage into an ADU, and then we added square footage. So when we're trying to rent them out, I get this girl to help me rent them out. We have a neighbor from like the front side house. Never even seen the guy before.
Yeah.
Didn't even know. He comes and screaming at the girl that's trying to rent out the units, like, why the fuck are you guys like what about the parking? And let it be known, it's like it's a busy street, so they're like limited parking already. And I'm like, dude, like you can park in your driveway, like if you really wanted to, And I'm like, so I'm pretty sure this person already had spoken to the city, it already happened. So at the end of the day, we do it the right way. No, you could people could say all they want, but it's legal, 100%.
And all that. Don't be a jerk, right? Don't be a jerk. Like don't to your neighbors. You're clearly, especially if you're doing it as an investment play.
Yeah.
You're gonna have tenants. Mm-hmm. Do your due diligence. Get some good tenants. Right? I would say don't get tenants where there's going to be like 4 cars per family member, and now all of a sudden you're flooding the street with cars. Mm-hmm. So you have the ability to control that, right? You minimize the number of vehicles that your tenants can have, and so forth, right? Yeah. So don't be a jerk, because.
So how many vehicles on your property?
So
with those with the tenants.
So each tenant drives their own vehicle. So there's 2 added vehicles. So plenty of street parking.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't harm anybody.
Same for me. It's I don't know why, but 2-2, one person rents it. 2-2, one person rents it. So 2 vehicles.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, they're good. Everything checks out. They use one as an office. I'm good.
And here's the other thing too. At the end of the day, the street is public, right?
Yeah.
Nobody really owns the street, right? There's nobody that has a deed to the street, so anybody can park anywhere at any given time as long as you're following the permit.
You know they just passed that law at the beginning of the year where even people could park with their RVs like wherever they want in California, yeah, bro.
Oh wow!
So
yeah, so I didn't know that.
They could pull up on front of your house and just stay there if they want.
Yeah, they just as long as they're not running extension cords,
Yeah.
But
so overall, what do you feel has like been the most eye-opening thing with the ADU for you?
I would say that if the ADUs are a solid gateway to get into investing, because there's a lot of people that want to start investing. There's a lot of people that want to own real estate, that want to own property, but they can't because they don't have the means, or they're afraid, or there's something holding them back. There's always that.
Well, I just think right here, bro, in these big cities where it's so expensive,
the finances.
It's the finances, bro. Like, what's a starter home costing in this area in Long Beach down to $500,000-$600,000, probably more.
A lot more now, yeah. But see, and I'll add this, and whether it is the finances or not, because I shared with you when we were doing this, and my wife and I were telling some acquaintances of ours what we were doing. A lot of the negativity from people that don't know what our end goal is, what our journey is, what my path is. The kind of attacks that were coming in were, well, why are you buying in that area if you can't afford it? Or, hey, if you can't afford a house, why are you buying a house? And my wife and I knew that it was not about that, because clearly if we qualified to purchase the property is because we could afford to buy the property and make the payments, right? But that wasn't our problem. I know that some people, that's a struggle. The finances are a struggle, and this is a solid way. It's the way is called house hacking. Mm-hmm. You buy a property and you have other people living on the property. But for us, it was a play. It was a move. This is going to get us into investing. This is going to enable us to create our portfolio and get to where we want to be a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we did it.
So what's the goal?
The goal is, for us, is to have 10 doors. We want to have 10 doors. Once we have 10 doors rented out, we're going to take a little bit of a back seat, try to pay off those doors, try to make some headway on that, and then continue to grow the portfolio, because it's I want to say it's addicting, but it's exhilarating, right? Once you get going, once you buy one property, you want another one. Once you buy that, you want another one. And then once you build on one, you want to build on the other one.
Yeah.
And you just want to keep on building and expanding. And it's really fun to really get creative. Yep. And to see what you can do, right? You see a property and you see it for more than just a house.
Different dimensions, yeah.
With a couple walls and a door, right? You're like, no, this has potential.
Yeah. That's dope, dude. I think it gives you freedom to see like there's a possibility of more. You know what I mean? And it's like, because a lot of people just work, and it's like I got one client that she did an ADU to her house. Her total mortgage after her tenant pays is $150.
Imagine that,
bro. Like, think about that. Or even at that, there's sometimes like I have a lot of clients that, their mom's older, their dad's older, and they're moving them closer to them in the back. That's dope. Like, why not? Because they still want to have their own space.
And and it's just like it's like how I said earlier. I'm just a regular guy with a regular job that decided to become an investor and follow this journey, because at the end of the day, I still have a job. I still have a 9-to-5. I enjoy what I do. I like my job. My intent is not to quit my job tomorrow or the next day, next month, or next year, but to have that opportunity and that possibility. If in the far future I decide that, hey, you know what, I don't want to keep on doing what I'm doing, I have the option to not do so.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, you know, I'm setting my family up for the future. I'm setting, you know, my kids, right?
Setting yourself up too.
Setting myself up.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'll get to decide when it's all said and done, hey, you know what, I'd rather not work anymore, and I have the option to do so. So there's a lot of possibilities that come with, you know, building and having fun while you're, you know, looking for your next property and expanding on it.
Yeah. Okay, final thing, dude. Top 3 things after doing an ADU you would say is like were eye-opening for you.
The amount of moving parts. There's a lot of moving parts that happen behind the scenes that you don't know are happening, which is, you know, imperative, and I can't say it or stress it enough, to have a solid team, right? Good architect, good contractor, and if you have a project manager, have a solid team that's going to coordinate these things. So you have no clue what's really going on behind the scenes because they're taking care of it, and if they're good, then you really shouldn't know what's going on because they got it handled, right? So that's number one. Another one would say it's a long road, but it's worth it. It's worth it because when it's all said and done, you get to see what all of that time and all that effort generates. Yeah. Other than money, you get to see what it generates. It starts your journey. If it's your first, you know, your first investment property, if it's your first ADU, it starts your journey. Yeah. And the number 3 is it's almost a no-brainer not to take advantage of the opportunity to build if you have the opportunity to build. If you have the means, if you have the space, if your property is set for it, and if your city allows it, you got to do it. I mean, when cities are starting to get are starting to get as expensive as they are, it really is one of those you got to do it because it makes perfect sense. Dope, dude.
So many exits with an ADU. I think that's
absolutely.
That's dope.
100%.
Cool. Thanks for coming on, man.
You bet. Anytime.
Right. Peace. Adios.